the Southeastern Conference in scoring and rebounding. He leads Kentucky, Bucky.
Well, he's really Mr. Inside. He's out of the shadow now of the Twin Towers, and he really seems to be better with people hanging on him. Plays with tremendous intensity.
On the other side for Auburn is another 6'8 junior, a truly great player, Chuck Person. A year ago, he was the runner-up for MVP in the SEC.
Well, he's the best in this league at scoring both inside and out. The Olympic alternate now has 52 consecutive games where he's been in double figures. We have the two best players in this league, two of the best forwards in the country, and as hard as it is for a forward to lead his team to the promised land, these two guys are trying. I love to watch them because they play hard all the time.
A very spirited rivalry. They've had some great games over the years. We're expecting one today, and we'll be back with the starting lineups right after this.
There's a style in your life no one could ever deny. You're on your way to the top, and along the way you've always known just who you are. Where you're going, you've always known it. Where you're going, it's Michelob.
Where you're going, it's exceptionally smooth Michelob.
Where you're going, it's Michelob.
You begin with raw steel. Shape it with fire, muscle, and sweat. Polish it to razor-sharp perfection. We're looking for a few good men with a medal to be Marines.
Bob, we're in the lobby. Hey, listen, we'll meet you out front in 5 minutes.
8 o'clock? I asked for a 7 o'clock wake-up call. What's wrong with this place?
Good morning, Nick St. Nick on the Big 96. 5 minutes past the hour, and if you had to be at work at 8 o'clock, you're late.
How? A simple thing like a wake-up call. Thanks, I'm already up. Next time, Ramada, where they know how to take care of business.
You've a very important date, and you're really looking great, Ben.
That tingle, a cold sore is coming on.
Your resume is fine, but the interview's on the line, 'cause
I feel a cold sore coming on. Quick, use Campho-Phenique Gel. Helps stop cold sores from stopping you. Clear Campho-Phenique Gel acts on developing cold sores and fever blisters to instantly stop pain.
when you have to be your best, but that tingle just won't rest.
Campho-Phenique Gel helps stop cold sores from stopping you.
Welcome back to Auburn, and now let's meet the starting lineups as we go to public address announcer Paul Ellen.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the starting lineups for today's game. First for the Kentucky Wildcats. At guard, number 10, 6'2 sophomore from Marion, Indiana, James Blackman. At guard, number 23, 6'1 junior from Valparaiso, Indiana, Roger Harden. At center, number 24, 6'9 senior from Center Fork, New York, Brett Vera. At forward, number 25, 6'6 sophomore from Louisville, Kentucky, Winston Bennett. And at forward, number 34, 6'8 junior from Roberta, Georgia, Kenny Walker. And the coach of the Kentucky Wildcats, Joe B. Hall. Now for the Auburn Tigers. At guard, number 12, 6'1 sophomore from Augusta, Georgia, Gerald White. At guard, number 15, 6'4 sophomore from Kissimmee, Florida, Frank Ford. At center, number 40, 6'7 freshman from Birmingham, Alabama, Jeff Moore. At forward, number 34, 6'7 freshman from Atlanta, Georgia, Chris Morris. And at forward, number 35, 6'8 junior from Brantley, Alabama, Chuck Person. And the coach of the Auburn Tigers, Sonny Smith.
The Auburn fans didn't show a whole lot of respect to Kentucky when they were introduced. They were reading newspapers up in the stands, do that a lot of places, but they'll be watching the Cats closely. We'll be back with Auburn and Kentucky. Today's game, on the left, Danny Hooker, in the center, Dale Kelly, on the right, Wally Tanner.
Well, they're all from the Southeast Conference, being that this is one of those friendly neighborhood battles, so we don't have to keep score on officials and what conference they're from. This is all family.
A lot of young talent on the basketball floor today. Blackman in the back line and Bennett up front, sophomores for Kentucky. Auburn starts 2 freshmen and has 3 come in off the bench. Their coach, Sonny Smith, says we don't know which team will show up. Sometimes we're real good, sometimes we're real bad. When our good team shows up, says Smith, we're real good. On January 2nd, these 2 teams played at Lexington or Rupp Arena. Kentucky won that night 68-61. Now, with Kentucky in possession of the ball, we're underway. Roger Harden working in the back line, a former Indiana high school player of the year. Here's another one, Blackman. Great scorer from the outside, although his production's been way down lately. Kentucky looking at an Auburn zone.
It's a 1-3-1. It's very soft, very flat. They definitely want Kentucky to prove it from the perimeter.
Nicely done. The ball tipped away by Chris Morris. Down court it goes, and Frank Ford off the run. Can't get the shot, and Kentucky's Winston Bennett fighting hard. Gets the rebound. It was last touched by Auburn. And so the Cats bring the ball up court again. No score up.
One of the interesting things early in this 1-3-1 is that Chris Morris, the 6'7" freshman, is at the top of the 1-3-1. And it makes a very difficult pass to get over the top. And so far, that sort of deployment has gotten 1 turnover. Good steal, quick hands.
He's a great athlete, Chris Morris, a freshman from Atlanta. Big, and as you point out, Bucky, he's at the top, playing the point on the zone. Hard to get it over that man as they go down wide now. Blackman down low. He can fire. Bennett goes inside. Walker puts it up, the leading scorer, and he can't get it to go. Barrett with a foul up. He was fouled. They do call it. Hit hard on the head.
The tradition of Kentucky, of course, is a very quick-hitting offense. They're showing great patience. There is a 45-second shot clock. Barrett going back up. Something of a mystery in the middle for Kentucky this year. Not the great thoroughbred center of many old Kentucky teams. Barrett, a hard worker, blue-collar type, but not as talented as those that have taken Kentucky and its great tradition toward the promised land.
Kentucky's big problem has been shooting. That's been Barrett's problem. His defense has been good in the recent games. He, as you point out, is a hard worker. Blue-collar guy in the middle for Kentucky, but they need more points from him. Averages just over 5 a game. They work with a 45-second shot clock throughout in the Southeastern Conference. 1-0 Kentucky. Frank Ford, a great backcourt player from Kissimmee, Florida. And here's Person, 45, coming out high. Yes! Comes off, and now Chris Morris bombs from the outside, and Morris pops one from about 22, and it's Auburn's lead 2-1. Roger Harden, a slick ball handler. He'll go behind the back between the legs. He'll try to get it inside, and he does as they go low to Walker, and he fights through a triple team, and then the tip-in is good by Barrett. They disallow it, though.
Walker's drawing such a crowd. It's amazing, A, that they can get the ball into him. 2, somehow he found daylight, but the concentration by Auburn to trying to keep him out of the scoring column has left all kind of opportunities for the others to get on that offensive board, and Barrett's cashed in twice, that time a little eager.
Yesterday, Walker was the object of Coach Smith's attention. He was about all he talked about. We've got to stop Walker to win the game. Now Person, the other great forward in this game, drills one for Auburn, and it's a 4-1 lead.
He got that one over Winston Bennett, too, and Bennett covers a man like he has a contract. That's some battle.
Roger Harden looking to go to Walker. Walker has the run of the floor. He'll be all over wherever he can go to get free to get the ball. They go to him low, and Walker off glass, in the junior from Roberta, Georgia, who went to Kentucky, hits the first field goal of the game for the Wildcats.
Boy, as hard as it was for him to get the ball, the first 3 possessions down the floor, he was absolutely all alone that time in the paint.
Great athlete, Walker, very lithe, quick, can run the floor. Great leaper, as you see there. He goes up, and it's going to come inbounds to Kentucky.
One of Sonny Smith's concern was trying to establish an inside game. This is not a powerful Kentucky team, and he feels like they have to get the good inside game. Super steal by Morris.
Morris goes down, and the freshman, Georgia Player of the Brings the house up as he slams one down.
Well, they accuse him of not being aggressive enough, but he's some kind of tough at the top of that zone.
Johnny Smith says, Bucky, he has every skill known to mankind once he starts putting them all to use. Here he comes again. Another tip away and a steal by Auburn. The lead goes off to Person, pulling up. One of the great ones do that, pulling off the dead run and then softly laying it down from 15 out. It's 8-3 Auburn.
Kentucky bringing the ball up very quickly. I don't think Joby Hall wants to get swept up in an up-tempo, especially early against Auburn. Auburn very definitely wants to run.
And the Wildcats the other night kept a good running team, the LSU Tigers, out of a running game and beat LSU. As a sharpshooter from the outside, Troy McKinley is now on the floor, replacing James Blackman.
Well, the term zone buster is often used, but that's McKinley's role. So far, the Kentucky guards are only looking side to side. They're really not looking at the basket. Watch Harden.
He takes some pressure off Walker McKinley because he'll fire it up from way out. He's 60% plus shooter and most of it long distance. Here he is, ready to fire. Bang.
Oh, as advertised, huh?
Just like they like it. It's an 8-5 game. Kentucky back to within 3.
That's like bringing Goose Gossage in from the bullpen. Boy, that's one of the toughest things to do in any sport. Come in cold and deliver.
Great shooter from Independence, Kentucky. Troy McKinley, a senior.
We made the point at the top that Person is the best in this league at scoring in and out. And, of course, his first field goal was from on top of 20-footer. Nothing but cotton, and now he's going down inside. It appears that Sonny Smith does not want to live or die with a jump shot at home. He wants to establish that inside game.
Winston Bennett got his first personal foul. There are 2 team fouls on Kentucky. 2 on Auburn.
Kentucky was playing aggressive man there. 2-3 zone off the out of bounds. They match up out of this, though.
Person can't get that one to go, but there's a whistle on the rebound, and the call's going to go against the Wildcats of Kentucky.
Kentucky packed in there in blue. Troy McKinley coming in over the back, trying to assert himself. Feeling a little good about that field goal. Wanted to prove he was a rebounder.
So with 15:58 to play in the first half, Auburn holds to a 3-point lead, and we'll be back after this.
You have to draw the line someplace. Then cross over it. That's how new ideas start. How new worlds open up. Technology from a company called TRW helps chart new worlds. Today we draw the line where it has never been before. Tomorrow, we'll cross over it. Tomorrow is taking shape at a company called TRW.
There's a style in your life no one could ever deny. You're on your way to the top, and along the way, you've always known just who you are. Where you're going, you've always known it. Where you're going, it's Michelob.
Where you're going, it's exceptionally smooth Michelob.
Where you're going, it's Michelob.
The Kemper Cavalry. Why do so many people trust their auto and home insurance to Kemper?
First accident forgiveness.
Kemper Total. Repair or replacement value coverage for my new car, as long as I own it.
Guaranteed renewal for good drivers 55 and over.
Compare Kemper's loyal protection with anyone. We don't have to toot our own horn. Once you compare Kemper, you'll ride with us.
Next weekend, come on home to college basketball. Doubleheader action Saturday when SMU battles NC State. Then Syracuse meets Notre Dame, or UCLA takes on Washington. Sunday, Dean Smith's Tar Heels of North Carolina battle the LSU Tigers. Good reasons to come on home to college basketball. Next weekend on NBC.
A great part of the sports tradition at Auburn, the War Eagle. The legend of the War Eagle at Auburn goes way back to the Civil War. And allegedly, a man who fought for the grave under Robert E. Lee, lying injured on a battlefield in a small eagle, circled down, sat with him till he got out during the night, came back to Auburn with him. That eagle supposedly died later during the first football game Auburn played. It's a long story, Bucky, but it makes good reading.
I bet. Well, Well, if the eagle was that size and it came home with him, I would not be surprised. That eagle could go anywhere it wants. It's a fierce-looking specimen.
You might have flown that guy home. 4 turnovers in 4 minutes for the Wildcats of Kentucky. They've had a problem holding on. Now an outside shot from the big center. Freshman Jeff Moore putting it up for Auburn, and Harden brings the Cats down the break. In the corner, Winston Bennett, another great player out of the state of Kentucky, just a sophomore. And McKinley, the long-range bomber, drills another one, and all of a sudden, Wildcats are back to within 1.
Frank Ford had a boxing 1 on Walker that time. If McKinley continues to shoot, I think we can look forward to seeing a triangle in 2. Sonny Smith has a plethora of garbage defenses that he uses.
It's as tough on the defensive players as it is on the offense to keep switching defenses. Particularly coming out of that tight man, all of a sudden you're backing off, playing an area of the floor. And here comes a rebound down to Bennett. He kicks the ball up to Harden, a fast break, 2 on 3. Walker's down low. Berra pulls up, throws up a brick.
No, I think he was passive. I think he was looking for Walker down underneath. Joe B. Hall, a little unhappy with that one, but Walker thought it was going up, and he was trying to get position to do what he does so well, rattle that offensive board, but he almost had the wax taken out of his ears. Berra throws a hard pass.
Person pulls up, fading back, not quite enough there, and the ball will come back inbounds to Kentucky, and the Wildcats can take the lead if they hit this trip down.
Auburn's lost their sync now. They're just not functioning in any kind of rhythm. I still think that Smith wants that ball to go down inside more.
McKinley, Roger Harden's the quarterback, gunning the ball up the perimeter of the zone.
It is a boxing 1 now with Ford on Walker. Number 15 in the white guarding 34. He will wear him if possible. Forcing inside, of course, when you go to one of those matchup garbage defenses, you're leaving other people open. Barrow has been very obvious so far, and because of the defensive concentration applied to Walker.
Freshman Jeff Moore blocked him. That's the second foul on Moore. Barrett can't get it to go. Moore rebounds. Here comes Auburn on the run. He passed to White, too much on it for Person. The ball's back over to Kentucky. It's still an 8-7 game, Auburn.
White's a very fine passer, but he threw that bounce pass on his starting floor, and it never got up above the shin bone. As good as Person is, it would have taken almost an acrobat to pull that one up.
Winston Bennett fires. Can't get it down, and the rebound is taken out by the backcourt player Frank Ford, and he's quickly up to White. Auburn pushing the ball up at every chance. 8-7. Numbers have held for a while. Here's Jeff Moore looping down low to Person. Back up against Walker. He gets it down. Walker had to back off.
Yes, he's strong.
Coach Sonny Smith calls him a finesse player. He doesn't look like one when he gets it low.
Well, he cleaned some sinuses with that move. Harden still has not looked at the basket. He's only looking east and west. Therefore, the top of that zone really isn't concerned. They can pack it in. He's at least got to show it. All right.
Rebound comes down, and here comes Auburn on the run. Winston Bennett whacks at the ball. It's finally picked up by Chris Morris, and there's going to be a foul called against Roger Harden of Kentucky.
Well, nobody could really put a fork in this one. It was loose. The Rockettes in this sequence, they were not. They called a foul there on Harden, which I really, in that kind of a sequence, I don't know about that call.
Coming into the game now for Auburn is Holland. Gary Holland, a senior from Baldwin, Florida. Big gun Person sits down now for Auburn. Still in the game. He didn't go out. He started to came back in, and right now, down the floor, the ball for Kentucky is Harden. Lead pass goes to McKinley, low to Barrett, and he's up and still can't get it down. If at first you don't succeed, Barrett gets it the second time, and he'll go to the line.
Boy, Barrett's the force in that offensive board. As we pointed out, he's a hard worker, but again, so much of it is the concentration that Auburn's putting on keeping Walker up and strong. The New Yorker really hitting that offensive board. Was taken out of the game in that sequence out there with the loose ball. Showed a little tired.
Freshman now comes in for Kentucky. Richard Madison from Memphis, Tennessee. The Tennessee High School Player of the Year a season Brett Barrett ties it up with that free throw with 12:38 to play in the first half. Don Quickie with Bucky Waters, Memorial Coliseum, Auburn, Alabama. Second meeting of the season as we have a near steal by Kenny Walker of Kentucky, but the tip back was taken by Gerald White. Now he loses the ball to Roger Harden, looking for a man to lead to. He goes down low to Madison. Good play by the freshman. Positioned himself, went up with a power jump. All of a sudden, for the first time in the game, Kentucky takes the lead.
Walker and Person now going head-to-head defensively. Auburn going off a double stack into a 1-4. Trying to give Person lots of picks. Again, he can deal you from 20 feet or he can take you inside and stuff you. You won't see two better forwards in this country going head-to-head.
They're the two leading scorers and the two leading rebounders in the Southeastern Conference. Another of the freshmen, Jeff Moore, puts it up for Auburn. Tipped around. Walker is down with the ball for Kentucky. Now ready to run today is Roger Harden of the Wildcats. Great ball handler. He can do lots of tricks. All of a sudden you'll see him with a quick pass inside to a big man, but that's done right now cordoning off the paint. Madison gets it low, and Walker jumps over the defense. The rebound is tipped right over to a backcourt player for Auburn. Down court is White.
Ford is very tired. Auburn was in a triangle or two that time, and they made a direct feed underneath, which they should never be able to do.
Barry Holland, a couple of moves, puts people in the air, but can't get the shot, but Auburn keeps the ball.
Auburn's tired. There's just a lot of sucking air out there.
They've been going fast. This tempo has been high. Kentucky came out, slowed the ball down against LSU and won that game, and there was speculation here they'd do it again against a good running Auburn team, but Kentucky's come out with the full court game today. 10:45 to play, and Kentucky leading for the first time 12-10. First half.
Little triangle or two.
Well, they're giving Harden a shot. Now he's going to take it. Doubling up on Walker down low. Harden gets a free shot, but Auburn comes up with a rebound again.
Perimeter shooting is so important when you're geared to go inside. The season's been a roller coaster for Joe Hall.
Kentucky with the ball again. Lead pass goes from Harden down to Walker. Lead to Madison. Back to Walker, and Kentucky with some great basketball ties the game.
And again, Auburn is gasping for air. That was 4-on-1, and the white jerseys barely made it over midcourt. I don't think it's conditioning. I think it's emotion. Kentucky does that to you.
Correction, Kentucky goes up by 4 here. Had the 12-10 lead in this. Three-way fast break with the Kenny Walker on the payoff end gives the Wildcats their biggest advantage. It's an exciting day of boxing on NBC Sports. Pedroza defends his WBA World Featherweight title.
Eusebio Pedroza, an inside boxer whose bolo punches have become a trademark, wearing down most of his foes with a steady and spectacular body attack. Pedroza battles Lujan, the WBA World Featherweight Championship on NBC Sports World.
This is Mr. Goodwrench. Did you know that your GM car's engine uses more air than gasoline? For every sip of gas, it takes 15 gulps of air. That's why a clean air filter helps keep you from wasting power or damaging your engine. So let Mr. Goodwrench check your oil, fuel, and air filters. Chances are you'll save gas and money, too.
It's another of Mr. Goodwrench's good ways.
If you got GM feeling with genuine GM parts.
Bill Evans can't breathe.
My nose is so stuffed, air can't get through.
Prove it. Would you try Dristan long-lasting nasal spray?
I'll try anything.
It can give you relief in seconds that lasts all day. Can you breathe now?
Think so.
Prove it. Still breathing freely?
Yeah.
Prove it. Prove it to yourself. Tristan long-lasting goes to work in seconds, lasts all day. Or try Tristan regular.
The Auburn Tigers here at Auburn, Alabama, with 10 minutes to play in the first half, and Kentucky trailing most of the way, now up by 4, 14-10. Kentucky comes in with an overall record of 11-8. Wildcats with their win Thursday night over LSU, even their SEC record at 5-5. Auburn is 12-6 and 4-5 in the SEC. Chuck Person doing it all. He's a junior. A lot of speculation he may go into the pros next year. Brantley, Florida.
Well, he had a good leader last year in Alvin Barkley.
There's a rebound coming down to Kentucky. Taking the ball straight down the court. Late pass goes to Roger Harden, and Kentucky playing a much better control game. You recall those 4 early turnovers cost them the lead. Now Bennett goes up, kicks his own rebound. It's taken down by Auburn.
Finishing that point, Barkley, whom they called the bread truck here in Auburn, went to Philadelphia after his junior year, and he's now driving a Brinks truck. So I'm sure that's impressed Person. I just hope Barkley doesn't eat himself out of a career. He's such an exciting player. Oh.
Big Chaz playing well in the NBA. He came out after his junior year here at Auburn. He was the SEC Player of the Year, and they say the thing they miss most about him on the floor is his great defensive play. Good as he was on offense. Harry Holland can't get the turnaround shot, and Kentucky quickly in a transition game comes flying down the floor.
Auburn now boxing one. Interesting now, White is playing McKinley, the outside shooter. Of course, Walker was out of the game. But it's not really a deny. Normally when it's a boxing one, it's very hard for that one, in this case McKinley, to handle the ball. That's why Auburn impresses me as being very tired. Shooting percentages reflect that. 5 for 17, only 29% for the Tigers at home. Joe B. Hall's forces are shooting a little bit better, 6 for 15.
Auburn started out hitting well, but then everything they've been throwing up has been awry. And Kentucky's come back to take the lead 14-10. Substitute coming into the game now, Johnny Lynn to play in the back line of Auburn.
Pretty good shooter in his own right. Mostly effective against zone. He's now taking the one. McKinley, several inches bigger than Lynn. He can go right over the top if they can find him.
Madison trying to go low to Barra, but tipped away nicely by Frank Ford of Auburn. And now Johnny Lynn, a freshman from Hendersonville, Tennessee, comes over and checks the play from Coach Smith and heads on down the floor.
Ford is some athlete, but Barra has got to come to meet the passing now. That's something Kentucky centers have always done. They come through the ball. They don't just touch it with their fingernails.
Way down, tipped out McKinley for Kentucky. Wildcats with a 4-point advantage. Roger Harden takes it low. He's a hard-working backline player, never left up on defense. He's man-on-man. It's like a glove. Roger Harden can't get the pass inside this time. Ford takes it away. If Harden goes to get it back, they call him for a foul.
Again, Harden's problem of looking only side to side gives Auburn the opportunity to take some chances in that passing lane. He's got to do some penetrating. They're not playing him honest at all. Ford with quick hands to go with a strong body. It was a high school forward making an excellent conversion to the backcourt.
Johnny Smith, he was cracking the whip in practice yesterday, getting his Auburn Tigers ready for Kentucky. Right now, Kentucky leads by 4.
You can't have it all. Who says you can't be somebody and still be you? Who says you can't taste like this and not look like you do? Michelob Light, oh yes you can. Michelob Light, oh yes you can.
Michelob Light, super premium taste in a less filling beer.
Michelob Light, oh yes you can. Have it all.
Working hard doesn't have to mean perspiration odor. Give it all you've got. Right Guard Spray can help keep you smelling good for up to 24 hours. That's protection.
You work hard, you need Right Guard. Stand up.
With Bucky Waters This is Don Crickey back at Auburn, Alabama, where the Kentucky Wildcats, with Kenny Walker scoring 4 points so far, and Brett Bierup with 4, and Troy McKinley with 4, right now lead the Auburn Tigers 14-10 with 7:34 to play in the first half.
Shooting percentage is really down, reflecting not at all what these teams are capable of. Auburn at only 25%, Kentucky 38%. On the boards, it's Kentucky 15-10, and they've been especially impressive hitting that offensive board.
Auburn with the ball. Kentucky playing a man-to-man defense, a well-conditioned Kentucky team. It's been over 5 minutes since Auburn's hit a field goal.
Kentucky really playing that good man-for-man now.
Ford going to the basket, can't get it. Coming off the play is freshman Jerry Holland, who is a great junior college player at San Jacinto in Texas, averaged over 30 points a game now in his second year at Auburn, and he's been a big factor this year.
Show you how young this Auburn team is. He's the only senior, and he's a junior college product, which means he's only been here 2 years. Had a big 14 against Vandy, and a big win, their first road win on Wednesday night. They're still looking for the round mound, the rebound inside. Love to see Barkley play, but he's gone.
He'd rather be in Philadelphia, at least right now, and Auburn coming down low on defense, trying to keep Kentucky out of the paint. Now they get it to Bierup, a block check. No foul called, and the shot's no good as Ford quickly comes down court for Auburn. They get all the direction to the point guards for Auburn from the bench. Sonny Smith gets up, Lynn checks him, and now goes with the play. They play a set patterned offense in their half-court game. No motion offense. Everything's a called play.
That's a good point, Don, because their real emphasis is on the break, then that secondary break, and most teams now are going to motion or flex, and they really dig in and X and zero you.
5:55 to play.
And one of the reasons they have to do that is because their horses are forward. 8 on the shot clock.
And their horse, Chuck Person, hasn't been getting the ball a whole lot so far in the game. He has 4 points. Leading scorer is Holland.
Taking it all the way to 8 on the shot clock. They finally get it in and overpass a bit. I go back to the point that, at least in my theory, that forwards are a luxury. Great forwards are exciting to watch, but it's very hard for them to dominate a game. You got to start in the middle with your center, and I've never seen a great team without guards. I've seen some with okay forwards, but the center position and the guard position, that's where championships are won.
Rebound comes down to Walker, and Kentucky with Ed Davender working in the back line, a great freshman player out of New York City. 2 good freshmen, Madison and Davender. Davender had some phenomenal games in high school. Went head-to-head with Kevin Walls, the great player now at Louisville. Scored 50 points to Davender. Outscored Pearl Washington, now Syracuse, when they went head-to-head in high school. Davender can fill it up. A lithe 6'3" guard. He has the basketball. Working against Gerald White. He was tripped on that play by Chris Morris.
It's man-for-man now by the Auburn Tigers. Person and Walker going head-to-head on this end of the floor as well. Person's defense improved immeasurably as a result of his Olympic experience. He was an alternate on the Olympic team, but Sonny Smith said he came back from that with a tremendous desire to play defense and increased intensity all over his game. And much of that credit he gave to Bob Knight.
That was a freshman guard coming in for Auburn, Terrence Howard from Macon, Georgia. A lot of youth on these 2 teams. High school All-Americans abound on both rosters. Madison quickly outside the zone to McKinley. Rebound taken down by big Jerry Holland. He's a little bit like Barkley inside. Big displacement.
If you believe that the weight is water retention, that could be the Gulf of Mexico. But he is not as talented as Barkley by a long shot. He's a bear.
And Davy Dock is in the game from Chicago. Darren Guest as Davender takes it down the floor, puts it up and in. And Kentucky has a 4-point lead again, 16-12.
Kentucky extending their defense now. I think they sense that this Auburn team is out of sync and breathing deep. They come at them hard with their man-for-man. Whereas they played an excellent zone the other night at home against LSU, they're a lot more aggressive.
Big league play by Auburn's finest player, Chuck Person, going baseline to the basket, then the bank shot. It's a 16-14 game. Kentucky's lead cut to 2.
The versatility of person. Now he's at the top of that 1-2-2, which is very flat. It's going to stay flat until Davender or Harden hit a few jump shots.
Loop to Walker, up and over. He's rejected by Holland, but Holland's called for a foul. Great players like Walker not only can do everything, but they have to do it oftentimes against a double team and sometimes a triple team. People are backing up, running him with two behind.
Well, there's nobody in this gym, if they throw the ball up around the square, that can stay with him. Walker's an extraordinary jumper, and he's a lot stronger than his body looks. You know, he doesn't have great bulk, but he's a human pogo stick. Nobody on Auburn's team can stay with him above the rim.
Averaging almost 23 points a game, Walker has scored over 20 in 10 of his last 11 games. He's really gotten stronger as the season wears on. He has 5 today. And he again gives Kentucky a 4-point lead as with 3:45 to play in the first half. A timeout is called on the floor. We'll be back to Memorial Coliseum in Auburn, Alabama right after this.
We can make being transferred almost easy with the Century 21 VIP Referral Network. It means
I'll work hard to sell your house here,
while I work hard to find your new home here.
with 6,000 offices that can help you find your buyers for your old house.
At the same time, I'm helping you find your new home across the country. You could say we work twice as hard. Maybe that's what made us number one.
Put number one to work for you. Century 21.
All you gotta do is smell the coffee, splash on Old Spice. Now you're moving, isn't it nice? Standing tall now, you're doing it right. Pour out a handful, splash on some Spice.
Nobody sends more guys out there than America's favorite, unmistakably masculine Old Spice.
Now you're moving, don't think twice. Splash on the feeling, splash on some Spice.
Back at Auburn, the Kentucky Wildcats holding to a 4-point lead. They've been out rebounding Auburn. Don Criqui with Bucky Waters. Very physical in a fast game, Bucky.
Yeah, it has. The defenses have held up pretty well. Shooting percentages reflect that, but I think that the bench of Auburn has really got to come through because the starters, with all the changing defenses, and now that Kentucky has extended their pressure defense, I think it's really going to come down to the Auburn bench. And so far, that's been an adventure. They bring 3 freshmen off the bench.
Sonny Smith. You knew him as a college player at Milligan. Young man from Roan Mountain, Tennessee. Not many people can say they're from Roan Mountain.
Nope, that's an exclusive fraternity.
He's a good player, wasn't he?
Yes, he was a very good player. Ran into him on a barnstorming trip, and I was a hot-shot, slow white guard from Jersey after finishing a mediocre career at North Carolina State. He was from Milligan. I figured he was easy. He could really play, Don.
And he can really coach. He has really done a job giving Auburn its first super strong basketball program. Tigers have always had great football. Last year was the first time they went to the NCAA tournament and the first time they ever went to the final game of the Southeastern Conference tournament, beaten by Kentucky in that thrilling game-ending shot by Walker, 51-49. Follow-up shot, nicely done by Jeff Moore, freshman center from Birmingham, and it's an 18-16 game. Auburn back to it in 2.
Shades of Lorenzo Charles against Houston. The air ball for a deuce. Oh, that really sent Joby Hall up the wall.
Didn't block out. Look at Walker go up against a 3-man triangle. It was really just keeping him away from going to the hoop, so he jumped over it.
Looks like a picket fence around him with all those white jerseys. But again, when he goes straight up, he really eliminates the competition. Kentucky shows that 2-3.
Davender, the freshman, into row F.
An aerial show there, right over the score.
Yeah, this guy starts to go. If they go man against him, he can tear open a game.
Look at the quickness. White again, not coming to meet the pass, which is evidence of a little fatigue out there. They're just not crisp.
Auburn setting up now in that half-court patterned offense. The play is called. White kicking the ball out. Now they go in the middle, and Person falling away doesn't have quite enough on it, and Barrett sweeps down the defensive rebound. Here comes Madison, the freshman from Memphis. He can't get it. He travels. Ball goes back to Auburn. 4-point lead for Kentucky. 20-16.
Kentucky trying to push the ball up the floor, something they really didn't want to do against LSU in Rupp Arena on Thursday night. They won by 10, 53-43. Here, they looks like they really want to challenge the up-tempo.
Playing more and more like Big Charles Barkley. Gets one up with the left hand, and Auburn's back to within 2. Collins come off the bench now. He scored 4. 6 points for Person. 6 for Chris Morris. Running down as we have 1:30 to play in the first half. Halftime, Al McGuire visits with DePaul coach Joey Meyer. His team lost a tough one today, losing 77-73 at Louisville.
Benny Crum doing an amazing job there with that team. It's practically an all-emergency room club with key players out, especially in the backcourt. I still think DePaul has Final Four potential. So has Illinois. Both teams have struggled recently.
Davender feeds off, turning and firing, and doing it right all nice. Brett Barrett, his best offensive display of the day.
Boy, if nothing else happens, it's been worth the trip for Kentucky. And by the way, their trip was something of an adventure as well with the severe weather we had. They got in late last night. Did not work out here.
To play through Mother Nature, everybody in this part of the country has had to. Been a tough couple of days. Wildcats were supposed to come in at 4 yesterday. Got in about 11. They got here, and they're playing like they've had a lot of rest and a lot of practice as they have a 4-point lead that can go to 6. Barrett fighting for the offensive board. And finally, Auburn gets the ball back as it goes over to Kerry Holland.
Well, you can't fault the effort for Brett Barrett, but he just can't get his hands on it and get in the hole.
We're down to 7 seconds. That's the part of wide-open game. Both teams had long dry spells. Now there's a turnover to start the second half, and Blackman, who's been out most of the first half after starting the game, comes up with the ball for Kentucky.
I thought that was over and back, and so did this Coliseum.
And he walked around the outside. Barrett's inside, as is Winston Bennett. That's James Blackman working in the back line along with Roger Harden for Kentucky.
Wildcats came strong man for man and got the turnover right away. Auburn back in the zone. Back with Morris at the top of that one. It's a 1-2-2 this time. But the principle is the same. 6'8" at the top of the key. Difficult pass.
Walker again going inside, getting the ball in the lane and jumping over the defense. He has 10 points, and Kentucky has a 4-point lead.
Well, there wasn't even a deterrent there. He just walked in, got it, turned around, and fired.
I think his greatest attribute, Bucky, is his speed. Even when he's doubled up, he runs away from it with a quick move.
Yeah, that it goes right over the top.
Blackman, long lead to Walker, up and down, and Walker can't get it to go. Slaps at the ball, but Auburn has it. Morris, the freshman, comes up with it now. Auburn coach Sonny Swift tells his team to settle down and work a play. First half shooting numbers not good, particularly for Auburn. Only 1 of 3. Sophomore guard, powerful player at 6'4", 210. We'll go to the free throw line also as the foul call on the play was against Kentucky.
Watch forward. Former high school forward going down inside. Morris almost went up and took it off the rim. Thought better of it. Flew on by and let it drop. Don Morris, the only player in the game with 3 fouls.
Winston Bennett got the last one for Kentucky. It was his first. Now a 1-point game after a 3-point play by Frank Ford of Auburn.
2-2-1 down court pressure, really very soft. Got tough over half court though.
Down low. Loose ball, up with it nicely. Down the floor come the Auburn Tigers. These teams head on to go at Lexington. Kentucky won that day 68-61. No shot as Walker defended against him. Knocking it down is White. And all of a sudden, Auburn comes back to take the lead for the first time in a long time. First points of the game for backcourtman Gerald White.
Well, that's key. If he can hit from the top of the key, it'll loosen it up, but they're still living on the jump shot.
Kentucky needs to get points also, Bucky, from James Blackman, a great scorer, a sophomore player who just isn't even putting it up lately for the Kentucky Wildcats, let alone scoring.
Well, one of Coach Hall's problems has been Bennett and Blackman had knee problems early in the year and really never have gotten a rhythm. Boy, White just stripped Barrett on that one. Quick hands. He filled a big void at the point guard spot for Auburn last year as a freshman. White struggled a little bit early, but as they came on at the end of the year, he was terrific. Played especially well in the Southeast Conference tournament. Auburn won by 1 against Vandy, and they won by like 1 against Tennessee, and then lost by a deuce in the final.
Great reject by the freshman Chris Morris at the other end. Ford shoots in the tip-in. It's good, and we'll see who they credit it to as Auburn takes a 3-point lead.
I thought he touched that ball in the cylinder, but I did not have the best seat.
Jeff Moore is credited with the basket.
Let's see if Auburn runs down. They got very tired in the first half.
17:01 to play, and a foul call against Auburn. White with 2 now. There are 14 fouls. See if somebody got in the cylinder here on this follow-up by Moore.
Sure did. That ball was still on the iron.
He's touching the iron anyway. They want it when they're down in the deck, wrestling for the ball. 27-24 Auburn, and we'll have a jump ball.
I don't know what Sonny Smith said at the halftime, but there is no question that his young Auburn Tigers are playing with a lot more intensity. Both of these teams are young. In fact, the Southeast Conference is young, and that's one of the reasons that there are no really dominating teams, and there just seems to be a very large group in the middle.
Winston Bennett shooting high against a tough defense, and down with the ball is Troy McKinley, so the Wildcats keep it. Barrett heading hard to the hoop, puts it up off glass, and there's a foul call against Barrett of Kentucky. See if they disallow the basket. We've not had that ruling. No hoop. They took it off.
Barrett had the quick turnaround jumper. Well, with that replay, we really didn't see the contact.
That was the second foul. You have to like the level of effort, though, by Brett Barrett. Fighting hard every moment he's out there. Joe B. Hall sits him down now with the foul.
I don't know if that's that one either.
That was a tough call. Jeff Moore looking to fire, puts people in the air with the fake. Can't get it down, and the roll doesn't go. This is an unfriendly home basket today for Auburn. A team still shooting well under 40%. But trailing by just 3, 27-24. Madison's shot doesn't go, but Bennett working inside tips it. Winston Bennett with his first points of the game. Walker leads Kentucky with 10. Barrett has 6.
Winston Bennett now stalking Chuck Person, number 45. I thought that Bennett and Blackman, as high school seniors, were two as good high school seniors as I had ever seen. First of all, they have those mature bodies, and they are very, very physical. Watch the job that Bennett's doing on Person.
Yes, he's doing a real good job, but Kentucky comes the other way after the miss by Chris Morris, and back and forth, and finally it's Madison coming up with a shot off the assist from Kenny Walker.
That looked like Kentucky basketball. Coming out, ball not hitting the floor, 3-on-1. It really takes a little getting used to see Kentucky playing a lot of zone and playing 40 and 50-point games.
And with the shot, Kentucky takes the lead 28-27. Gary Holland, who played some good ball for Auburn in the first half, is getting set to come back in. Kentucky showing a zone to the Auburn Tigers as they patiently work the perimeter, trying to go inside. Person standing off right side of the baseline. They turn the ball goes over that side, though. There's a double up on Person. Rebound. Frank Ford, the 6'4" guard, puts it up, and it's Auburn with a 1-point lead.
Well, he's a big guard. As we said, he's a converted high school front court player. Third leading rebounder on this club. And he's been on a tear. 39 of the last 62 field goals for 62%. Of course, when you're that close, you're supposed to shoot well.
Davender tried to put it up for Kentucky. Freshman Chris Morris drilled it back at him. Morris with a tremendous ability to get in the air. They've been trying to get him to be more physical. I think he's demonstrated that today, Bucky. He's been playing hard and getting up and doing all the things that a great young player like he can, and he'll have to continue it as we have a 1-point game, Auburn over Kentucky.
Guten Morgen.
Morgen.
Wir nehmen den neuen Jetta.
Ah, Paris.
Introducing the new Volkswagen Jetta, the first affordable German road car.
Allez-y.
Exhilarating performance, precise, responsive handling. With the new Jetta, half the fun is getting there.
Paris.
Hey, der Eiffelturm.
The other half is getting back. Jetta. It's not a car, it's a Volkswagen. There's no better way to end a perfect day than to head for the best beer you can find.
Welcome to Miller Time.
At Miller High Life, we begin with nature's finest ingredients. Then we brew our beer so it contains no additives, no preservatives. So nothing comes between you and the taste of just pure beer.
Welcome to Miller Time.
You go bumper to bumper at 200 miles an hour on a hot track from morning till night. You'll find out just how strong your deodorant is. I'm Cale Yarborough. I drive race cars. This is my deodorant, Old Spice Stick. Hey, Old Spice isn't just strong, it's 24 hours strong. Old Spice Stick is the only leading deodorant that says it right on the label. You want a deodorant that lasts longer than you do, this is the one.
Now Old Spice Stick also comes in a new fresh scent.
Chris Morris, number 34, the 6'7" freshman from Atlanta, comes from nowhere to strip that ball clean. They say he can be, talent-wise, anything he wants, including a small forward in the NBA. But as a freshman, he's just got to get a little bit tougher. He has really been a force at the top of the zone defense. Quick hands, long arms. And I'd like to attribute all that to great defense, but there have been some wide-open shots that haven't gone.
Awful lot of missed inside shots. They've had trouble getting the roll. We're at Auburn, Alabama, Memorial Coliseum. Don Criqui with Bucky Waters on NBC Sports. Auburn holding to a 1-point lead. Down inside, rejected, and here comes Morris, the freshman, leading the way down the middle. Looking to go coast to coast, he does. But again, that rim at this end doesn't give Auburn a break. And Kentucky has the ball, and there's a foul call against Auburn.
Interesting play at the other end that time. Auburn went box and one, and they put Morris, who's playing extremely well offensively now, and they put him 1-and-1 on Walker with 3 personal fouls. Looks to me like Kentucky ought to go right after Walker anyway, see if they can get that 4th one on Morris.
Ed Davender working in the backcourt for Kentucky. Freshman, that's the final we told you about earlier. Louisville winning at home against DePaul 77-73. St. John's, number 1 in the country, taking no prisoners against Connecticut today in the Big East. Here comes Person down the middle on a 4-on-1 break. Leadoff goes to Gerald White. The bank shot doesn't go, but the follow-up by Morris will result in 2 free throws for Auburn. Auburn just flat out is not shooting the ball very well. They're tight. When you miss inside shots, you're tight. When you miss that many.
Well, you know, Sonny Smith said, I start 2 freshmen, I bring in 3 from the bench. I have no idea who's going to show up. And coaching young teams, really, it'll turn your hair gray. But he said with that sly country grin, he said, well, when we come good, we're pretty darn good. As road wins this year at Alabama Birmingham, which is a tough place to win, and they even got one in Morgantown, West Virginia. Their first conference road win was just Wednesday night at Vanderbilt. So his young team is coming. This is a rebuilding year after the best year in Auburn history last year.
There's a lot of good people to build with. Keeping Chuck Person around for a senior season will be important if they can. Throws like him very much. And here is Walker, another guy who is gaining much acclaim nationally, has been for the past 2 years with his great play at forward. He now leads all scorers in the game with 12 points for Kentucky. The Wildcats back to within 1.
Wildcats back to the 2-3 zone, but it's aggressive. They're taking a lot of chances in the passing lane, especially Davenport. Boy, is he quick.
Ford fires. Nothing there. Nice rebounding by the freshman, Madison.
It's now triangle and 2. White is playing McKinley over here on the right. Morris is playing Walker underneath.
The basket goes Madison. Can't get the roll. Rebound swept off by Person of Auburn.
But it's a very soft triangle and 2. The 3 men in the zone basically aren't active. And the 2 men that are guarding the individuals, man for man, really aren't in deny. Just kind of porous in there.
First half, both teams tried to run a lot, ended up shooting themselves in the foot in a number of occasions. A lot of turnovers. There's been more patterned offense in the second half, but still the shooting. Chris Morris with the play of the game. The freshman player of the year in Georgia a season ago. Following it up, going a foot and a half over the rim to slam it down. That was a perfect 10, perhaps.
His play probably typifies this Auburn team. When he's good, he's outstanding. When he's not, he's on sabbatical.
Sonny Smith said, Bucky, he's got all the skills known to mankind. We just saw some that not many men can display. Now there's a call going against Kentucky as Auburn's opened up a 3-point lead. Let's watch the play of the game by freshman Chris Morris.
Here's the aerial show. Armband and all. Armband on the wrist, by the way, above the rim. If he keeps doing that, he's going to have to wear pads the way he's slamming that iron.
Great player and a great play. And it's a 3-point lead for Auburn. We'll be coming back to Auburn, Alabama right after this.
You probably can't guess where you can find all this under one roof. Probably not at the stereo store at the mall. Probably not at the TV shop. Or the computer center across town. You'll find all this at Sears. That's right, Sears.
There's more for your life at Sears.
Yeah, Murph 76 versus Bob's Gas, and tonight belongs to Bob.
Say, Bob, you hear that 76 gasolines have been improved?
Improved how? Got an additive that helps keep carburetors cleaner.
You know, Bob, at 76, people pay the same price, cash or credit.
Maybe. Yeah, well, at least we don't have a girl on our team, huh?
No, you don't have that either, Bob.
The spirit of 76.
You're invited to spend an evening with...
As diseased a bunch of psychopathic misfits as the Army has to offer.
Lee Marvin leads the Dirty Dozen in the all-new Next Mission, Monday.
More of the best of college basketball tomorrow on NBC Sports. The Illini of Illinois going against the Cougars in Houston. Then the long tradition of Notre Dame and UCLA renews on the West Coast. It all begins at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, a basketball doubleheader on NBC Sports. If you like the Illini, Bucky, you'll be taking a run down to Houston to see them under Coach Henson. They seem to have the potential to be a Final Four team, or so a lot of people think.
Yeah, they've led the Big Ten in rebounding and defense the last 2 years. I think they're the best in the Big Ten, but of course when you go to Houston, it can be interesting. And Phi Slamma Jamma still meets, but not as frequently above the rim as they have in the past. The Smothers brothers are back, so it'll be the quick guards and the pressing defense of the Cougars. Should be an interesting game.
Coach of Houston sent a Phi Slamma Jamma diploma to that young lady who was the first to slam it down in college basketball, women's college basketball. Honorary member.
She's West Virginia, right? She's Mountaineer?
Yeah. Right now, Auburn with a 3-point lead, looking for the opening inside against the Kentucky zone. Winston Bennett right in the middle of that zone.
Yeah, they're matching up a little bit. Person just not able to get his hands on the ball. Shut out this half.
Still with 8 points. They try to get it low to him. But the play by Kerry Holland, and the ball is slapped away. Davender now throws the ball away. freshman mistake.
Well, you just got to live with that because he really is a talent. He can't be playing scared out there.
I tell you, he's a talent. He's a great player, Ed Davender. You go head-to-head with Pearl Washington and outscore him handily as he did. Outscore Kevin Walls handily. There's Person 45 with the ball.
He's had to come to the perimeter just to handle it. That's a victory already for the Kentucky defense. Remember in the first half, Auburn didn't even get a free throw.
Big play by Chris Morris. The missed shot by Person, but Morris is right there to get it and go back up and give Auburn its biggest advantage of the game, 35-30.
Oh, boy, that was an air ball that landed in the middle of the lane and turns out to be a field goal. Joe B. Hall's got to be dying on that one. He knows that they're not an awesome board team this year, but when they land in the paint and you don't get them, that's just assertiveness.
That was probably a good foul by Chris Morris. The ball went low to Walker, and you can just about put it in the book when he gets it low, so he fouled him before he could shoot. No free throws. 14 fouls against each team.
Richard Madison got an earful after not getting that air ball from Coach Joe B. Hall, the master blaster in Madison, Tennessee.
Blaster fires one off the glass and knocks it down, and it's a three-point game.
And he looks over to Coach Hall and says, all right, Coach, we're even now. Joe Hall, not used to being even. He's got a great line. He says, the only good year at Kentucky is when you win the national championship, and it'd probably be helpful if you were undefeated, too. What a monster that tradition is. What a job he's done.
13th season there. Wildcats have won 75% of their games under him. Up and down. Nicely done by Kerry Holland, and it's a 5-point advantage again for Auburn as Holland has 6. Bucky, what was the last team to go through a season undefeated and win a national championship?
Oh, you're trying to embarrass me. Undefeated. It wasn't all the way back to 57, was it? And Frank McGuire's team in North Carolina? No, UCLA did it, didn't they? I don't know then.
Indiana, 76.
That's correct. That's correct. Boy, I hate those pop quizzes. I'm going to have to stay up late and study.
It's a 37-34 game. Nobody will get that. Well, they will after they hear it on the air, I guess. But everybody goes back to 57.
Bob and Nancy Knight would have had that in a heartbeat.
8:50 to play in the game.
Morris still chasing Walker. It's a box and one. But notice the box, how inactive it is. It looks like a stroll in the park in the paint there. They're just kind of generally milling around.
Madison, he's a freshman, but he's not shy. He's got the touch. Again, backing it down, and he brings Kentucky back to within one. Madison's coming off the bench to score 10 for Joe B. Hall's Wildcats.
He's given them the lift that Holland gave Auburn in the first half.
Auburn had a 5-point lead here in the second half after trailing by 2 at halftime. Auburn having difficulty getting the ball low. Person's getting set to come back in the game. He's not scored in the second half. Chuck Person, the top player on the Auburn team. There's the guy that's been the standout today, Morris, but that one doesn't go. However, the rebound's up Kenny Walker, and Kentucky will play defense again. Ball inbounds to Auburn.
Jeff Moore really got up on that one. He was right up there with Walker, and they don't call him Walker Sky for nothing. He's good, but his batteries may be running down a little too.
They're going to take a break. Coaches pass out some counsel with Auburn holding to a 1-point lead. 7:54 left to play in the game.
I don't compete anymore, but I still pump iron. So after lifting a few hundred pounds, it's nice to lift one of these. Light beer from Miller. Light tastes great, and it's less filling with a third less calories than the regular beer. Now, you know, bodybuilding is hard work, but having a great body has its advantages. Sure makes it easy to pick up guys. Hi, Rodney.
Oh, well, hi there. What's going on here? Hey, honey, how about a lift home, huh?
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
I never dreamed I'd join the Army, but they gave me the opportunity of a lifetime.
1217 miles northwest, low fuel, heavy weather.
Army 121. Turn right, heading 150.
Army 121, roger, 150.
Every time I help one of our choppers land, it puts me on cloud 9.
Runway in sight. Thanks for your help.
Roger.
Find your future in the Army.
Next weekend, come on home to college basketball. Doubleheader action Saturday when SMU battles NC State. Then Syracuse meets Notre Dame, or UCLA takes on Washington. Sunday, Dean Smith's Tar Heels of North Carolina battle the LSU Tigers. Good reasons to come on home to college basketball. Next weekend on NBC.
There's an outstanding featherweight boxing championship bout coming up next on NBC Sports World from Panama. Eusebio Pedroza, the WBA world champion, defends his title against the top-ranked contender, Jorge Lujan. Pedroza's held his title longer than any other current champion, and he has successfully defended that title 18 times. A great fight coming up next on NBC Sports World. Right now, we've got basketball at Auburn. The Auburn Tigers holding to a 1-point lead over Kentucky.
I'd like to be Marv Albert's travel agent. 2 weeks ago, we're in Vegas. Last week, he's in Italy. This week in Panama. But next week in South Bend.
Maryland. Syracuse goes to South Bend to play Notre Dame on NBC Sports. 7:43 to play in the game here as Kentucky rallying again by 3 with McKinley, the outside shooter, in the game. Madison, he scored 8 in the second half, 10 for the game. They're getting that zone over real quick. When he gets the ball, he has it now. He fires anyway. Too much on it. Great rebound by Winston Bennett. Back up and good, and the Cats are back to within 1. It's 39-38.
Boy, he's some kind of power player. It takes a little getting used to with his change in hairstyle, which really hasn't affected his play. He absolutely stalks you on defense. Lost his confidence with that knee injury offensively, both he and Blackman. But when they come back, the Cats will be for real. Should be an interesting tournament in Birmingham.
Gary Holland puts the ball up. He can't get it down. Rebound slapped around. Coming down again is Holland. There's going to be goaltending call. Score the bucket for Auburn.
Skywalker showing his vertical leap, which is not measured. Up in the air, he skyjacks it. Up in the nickel seats, but it's a deuce.
Great second look. Our producer today for NBC Sports is Glenn Adamo. Our director, Len Stucker. As we have 6:33 to play in the game. 41-38. Kentucky with the ball down by 3. Madison loops low to Walker, and he is blocked. Another good foul. You get him before he goes up with a shot.
They've got White on the back of that zone, and Kentucky is really going down inside to their power players. Oh, White's bounced around in there like he's coming off a pinball machine, and he's just not effective. One more time. Number 34 in the ionosphere. That was looked like a 3-2 pitch right out of here.
Our play, and Walker goes to the free throw line. He's scored so far today 12 points. Leads all scorers of the game. Person and Morris both have 10 for Auburn.
1-2-2 defense now. Ford at the point, and 2 small guards on the wings, which makes them very vulnerable on the weak side of the board. Watch for Kentucky to stick one on the weak side. Both White and Lynn are not good rebounders. Right there.
That was the weak side shot, followed up and down by Madison, who now has 12 points for Kentucky. The freshman brings the Cats back to within 1.
That defense is really difficult to hide your guards when they're small and thin, as the Auburn guards are right now. Because one thing Kentucky still does, even though this is not a great Kentucky team, they're going to come at that offensive glass.
Must have broke some hearts, Bucky, when Madison left Memphis and went to Kentucky. He scored 10 points in the second half. Person drilled but can't get it down. Johnny Lynn, the little guard, working inside, but the ball slapped away and picked up by Winston Bennett. And now Kentucky comes down the floor with 5:20 to play in the game. The Wildcats can take the lead if they hit on this trip.
It's a 1-3-1 now. Lynn on the top, White underneath, but the wings are a little stronger. If Kentucky attacks the left side, of that 1-3-1 now, they're going to bring Person off the board, and they're going to leave Ford, a poor rebounder, though a good one.
This is togetherness, folks. White coming from that baseline spot, the runner spot in the back of the 1-3-1, showing extraordinary speed. He is not only quick, he's fast, and sometimes the two don't jive.
Two things you can't coach, speed and luck. Can't coach that height, too, isn't it?
That's what I was going to say, which makes Person's story interesting. Came to Auburn at 6'4.5" and grew to 6'8". Sounds like Julius Erving at the University of Massachusetts.
Davender can't get it to go. Walker tries. They grabbed him right by the arm. He'll go to the line to shoot two.
No matter what defense Sonny Smith throws up there now, the problem is not the first shot, it's the second shot. There are blue jerseys hanging all over that glass.
Great disposition, too, demonstrated by Walker. They're constantly hacking at him. He gets it every game because they know that he goes up, it's going to go down. Never a complaint, though. He's a consummate player. Poised, ready, all the skills. And right now, with the crowd and the drums beating, Walker calmly sinks a free throw to tie the game at 41. Shooting for number 14. See his numbers for the day, leading the Southeastern Conference in scoring and in rebounding. Two Auburn players contending for the loose ball, and neither could get to it, so Kentucky gets it with a chance to take the lead. Wildcats led by 2 at the half, 22-20. Auburn came back to lead by 5 in the second half. Now Kentucky looking to take the lead. Gary Holland, that big blocky inside player, comes back in for Auburn.
Gave a big lift in the first half, the only senior on the Tiger Club.
Davender feeds off. McKinley doesn't get a shot. Good quickness demonstrated by Frank Ford. He comes out again against McKinley. McKinley hits that 22-footer like a free throw.
Morris is on top of that zone again, number 34.
Davender pulls up. Ed Davender hits a confidence builder. The freshman gets a free shot and drills it, and Kentucky takes a 2-point lead.
Well, all of this, and they're right back to where we ended the first half with Kentucky up 22-20. Ford leaving the backcourt, going down underneath.
It's become a controlled pattern game here in the second half. Richard Madison, who scored 12 points coming off the bench for Kentucky, has been taken to the locker room. Hopefully he's all right. It'll be Hall to his feet as his Cats get the ball back.
He's taken Person right out of the second half. Person had 8 at the half, and he virtually is non-existent. And it's not that he isn't trying, he's just disappeared. The Cats defense, plus Auburn really hasn't been able to find him. I'm not sure they're looking hard enough.
Madison's back out on the floor now, talking to Coach Hall. Apparently he's all right. There was a slight limp, might have turned an ankle.
Turnovers. Kentucky's got 2 more, but they have more than that in an advantage on the board.
Another turnover for the Wildcats, and that gives Auburn a chance to tie the game with 3:09 to play, and right now we'll have a timeout on the floor. So it is Kentucky 43, Auburn 41, and we'll be back in a moment.
Save $208,000 with this coupon.
Wow.
Yes, with Allstate Universal Life Insurance, that's how much a 29-year-old non-smoker could accumulate at age 65. And for just $825 a year. Interest buildup is tax-deferred and based on a current 10.5% rate, which will vary, but won't go below 4.5%. So send today.
Okay.
See an Allstate agent or look for our magazine ad.
Magazine ad?
You're in good hands with Allstate.
A member of the Sears Financial Network.
40,000 years ago, a small band of hunters crossed the Bering Strait to what is now America. Before that, there was no one here. And the water that fell to earth was fresh and pure and clean. At the House of Heilemann, we brew our old-style beer with these fresh, pure waters of history. Heilemann's old-style beer, brewed with water from when the earth was pure.
The Panama Canal at the center of the world in Panama City. The setting for a matchup of Panamanians. Eusebio Pedroza defending his WBA featherweight title against Jorge Lujan in what should be a dandy. Marv Albert with Bernie Pacheco will be with you following basketball.
It's a close one. We were expecting that. Kentucky holding to a 2-point lead with 3:09 left to play in the game now. The junior forward, Kenny Walker, and the freshman forward, Madison, have combined for 25 of Kentucky's 43 points. Madison's been a real find today.
Yeah, look for Chuck Person to assert himself now. Now's when they need their leaders. No question he is. He's got 3 minutes and 9 seconds. He's got a 2-point deficit, and he has not been resting this half. He's been smothered.
He's had nothing but long shots to take, and he's not been hitting those. So here come the Auburn Tigers. Lee Smith, their coach, on his feet. Rebounding dead even, and the score could be if Auburn hits on this trip.
Auburn's track record, if they out-rebound you, they beat you. But the rebounding, the momentum of rebounding has been toward Kentucky, especially on the offensive board.
Bounce low. Person gets the ball, but Barrow takes him down to the baseline, and his pass outside is intercepted by freshman Ed Davender.
And Sonny Smith is straining at the edge of that coaching box. Very close to a technical that time, and he doesn't need that now.
Yeah, that box is very limiting. Kentucky's defense down low has diffused Person, the top player for Auburn. Now, down the flow of the ball comes Chris Morris, another standout freshman who's turned in some huge plays today for Auburn. A prayer is thrown up by White, but wisely done as he put up a shot knowing he was fouled. He'll go to the line for 2 shots and perhaps can tie the game.
You know, with Ford, the other guard for Auburn, is really anxious to get to that board and play down inside where he's really more at home. But when White penetrates, as he did then, many times Auburn really doesn't have good defensive balance. Had that foul not been called and that ball hadn't gone in, all 5 Auburn players would have been inside the broken circle. And Kentucky, while not the racehorse Kentucky of old, still looks to go down the floor first. And as they did in the first half, got a couple of breakaways.
Just 3 points for Gerald White, sophomore from Augusta, Georgia. 2 free throws, though, tie the game, 43 all. We're starting down the stretch now, 2:14 left to play. Full court pressure by Auburn. Roger Harden's been out for a long time. Outstanding junior floor general. Controlling the offense, and Kentucky almost losing the ball.
That 2-2-1's a little soft full court, but boy, Auburn really makes it tough when you get it over the midcourt line.
Morris tipped the ball away. O'Call wanted a free throw out of that. Both teams over the limit.
Especially on Morris, who's played so well today.
43-43 with 1:52 to go, and as you see the clock ticking down. Don Criqui with Bucky Waters, Memorial Coliseum, Auburn, Alabama, the best in college basketball on NBC Sports. A lot like the SEC championship game a year ago, when in March, Kentucky on a last-second shot by Walker beat Auburn for the SEC tournament title 51-49. Right now, it's 43 all as the game clock is becoming vital. 1:24 to go, and let's see if Sonny Smith has his boys sit on the ball for a while.
Oh, Kentucky ran that shot clock down and then ended up with a prayer shot from 40 feet. I thought Joe Hall was going to fall right out of his seat with Harden's shot.
So we'll see what Sonny Smith elects to do. There have been turnovers. If they hold it too long, they might not get the shot. We're going to all find out together when we come back.
The 1985 Toyota workforce is going to have you whistling while you work. Introducing the dependable cargo van from Toyota, the newest workhorse of the workforce, with more room than any small van. Together with a tough Toyota 1-ton and Toyota's lowest price work truck, the Standard Bed, this workforce will have you whistling while you work.
Thousands of years ago, a snowflake fell to the glacier which covered Wisconsin. When Rome was founded, the snowflake was a drop of water in a tiny, sparkling stream. When America was discovered, the water was stored deep in the earth, near a place that would become a town called La Crosse. And then it became Heileman's Old Style Beer. Heileman's Old Style Beer, brewed with water from when the earth was pure.
WBA featherweight champion Eusebio Pedrosa will be defending his title for the 19th time. An amazing run as he faces fellow Panamanian Jorge Lujan here in Panama City. Marv Albert with the fight doctor, Ferdy Pacheco.
To Coach Hall in the solitude of a quiet counseling session with his players, and the game tied 43-all, but Kentucky didn't get that shot the last trip down, Bucky, and now it's Auburn's perhaps to win or lose if they hold the ball. 1:17 to go.
Well, with the shot clock being what it is, they're not going to hold it. 1:17 to go. Look for both teams to go to their horses. While both Person and Walker had 8 points at the half, and it was virtually a standoff, Person has been non-existent in the second half, and Walker has had, as usual, a good half for the Kentucky Wildcats. So I'm sure that Sonny Smith was talking, get the ball to the thoroughbred with 1:17 to go.
Guest still on the bench, a power rebounder. Sometimes they bring him in down low to block out, but right now Auburn moving the ball patiently. 1:10 to play. Game is tied 43-all.
Kentucky matching up out of a 2-3.
Shot clock down to 20. Game clock down to a minute. To go in the ace. Inside today on the defensive end, Winston Bennett sweeps the board, and now 45 seconds on the game clock, 35 seconds on the shot clock for Kentucky, so they'll have to get it up. Game is tied 43-43. Roger Harden directing the offense. Now Kentucky calls a timeout with 20 seconds on the shot clock, and as you see, 20 seconds on the game clock. So we're going to go right down to the wire again, just as we did in the Southeastern Conference Tournament Championship game last March at Vanderbilt. Coach Hall brings his team back over. Both teams now in the last trips down have been unable to get the ball down. Auburn had a chance and couldn't get to go.
Both of these young teams very tentative in this situation. This is where your senior leadership takes over. Harden is very confident out there. Certainly that's where it's got to come from now. At this point in the game, your guard play is crucial. They've got to be thinking. Both of these teams have been changing defense all day long. So the first thing they have to do after this timeout, Kentucky's got to find out which of about 6 defenses Auburn has used are they in at this point, and then try to find Walker.
Kentucky coming into the game with an even 500 mark in the Southeastern Conference. Cats are 5-5. Best teams in the conference all have 3 losses so far. So Kentucky's very much in the chase. Eusebio Pedrosa defends his WBA World Lightweight Championship next on NBC Sports World as we come down the stretch on the home of college basketball, NBC Sports, a 43-43 game. 27 seconds to play and 20 on the shot clock for Kentucky. Kentucky a 2-point leader at half, fell behind twice in the second half by 5 points, and now the Cats with a chance to take the lead with seconds to play depending on what they do right now.
Sonny Smith is 3-13 against Kentucky in his 7th year at Auburn, but 4 of those 13 losses have been at the buzzer. People like Kyle Macy, Derek Horde, Dirk Menefield, and last year in the tournament finals, Kenny Walker, all have beaten him with buzzer beaters. And it's hard to see that because he looks so young and frisky. But inside, it's churning. A win over Kentucky is big anywhere, especially in the Southeast Conference, and very especially here at Auburn.
Whole Kentucky coaching staff up and standing as Roger Harden calmly drills the ball off the floor. The Davender, the freshman, fires. The rebound's taken down by Barham. Let's see. It's going to come inbounds to Kentucky with 12 seconds to play, so Kentucky will have the last shot. And they're going to talk it over.
Oh, I thought they put that ball up awfully quick. Talk about Davender. We talked about him being a very talented player, but most teams want to go down to 6 seconds before they put it up.
We'll be back right after this.
I grew up on UCLA basketball. Alcindor, Sidney Wicks, Walton, and Dick Enberg calling the shots. Seems I spent every spare minute watching them play and then practicing my moves on the concrete.
Tomorrow, come on home to college basketball. Doubleheader action begins at 1 Eastern when Illinois meets the Cougars of Houston. Then at 3 Eastern, Notre Dame battles UCLA. Good reasons to come on home to college basketball. Sunday on NBC.
This is Don Criqui with Bucky Waters back at Auburn, Alabama, right down to the wire again. Kentucky and Auburn tied 43 all, 12 seconds to play. Kentucky will get the ball inbounds when play resumes after the timeout. And Kentucky can take it for a last shot to win the game. And if they do, they'll have beaten Auburn for a second time this season, winning earlier this year by 7. Moment of truth here at Auburn, Alabama. Don Criqui with Bucky Waters, Joe B. Hall and his Kentucky Wildcats. With the final counsel, the timeout is over, and now Kentucky comes out to put the ball in play with 12 seconds to go in this game, and it's tied 43 all. The lead scorers in the game, the great forwards, Kenny Walker and Chuck Person, have both been held to 10 points under the regular season average. We'll see who Kentucky goes to. Davender, a freshman guard from New York, goes to Roger Harden. Down low, a steal by Ford, a lead pass up court. Loose ball, and here's another loose ball, and there's a foul call on Roger Harden of Kentucky. Let's see what's on. Frank Ford thinks he's going to the line. Two guys fighting for the ball. It's going to be against Kentucky, and so the Wildcats blow a last-second chance to score and win the game. And then when Auburn comes down the other way, what do we have but a foul call against Kentucky? So with timeout on the clock, Bucky, looks like it's going to be decided at the line.
Not sure. Let's see. Nobody could stick a fork in this ball. It was running loose. There's Harden and there's Ford colliding. I still don't see a foul.
There's one.
Unless it was Davender right there. It was deja vu of the Southeast Conference tournament last year. 12 seconds to go. And
they ruled no foul. We're going to overtime.
They were trying to find Walker, and Walker was in a crowd. Sonny Smith.
Sonny Smith thinks he's got a foul shot coming, but...
And he's extended the coaching box all the way to midcourt. And he is...
So it's an overtime game at Auburn. Sonny Smith and the Auburn Tigers thought they had a foul shot coming at with timeout. And Smith still protesting that, but the officials on top of the play, and we saw it on the replay, ruled that there was no foul, free-for-all for the loose ball, and time ran out, and so we'll go and play an extra 5 minutes.
All right, Harden gets a piece of that ball, sends it straight up in the air, and it surely draws a crowd. They're scuffling for the ball. The foul was called, I think, on Ford. And then it was later said, no, there was no foul. I think probably no call was the best call there. It's purely incidental contact. But what Sonny Smith has to do now is be the consummate pro. While he thought he could win this game at the free throw line, he now has to put that behind him and get his team ready to go in a 5-minute overtime. He has not had good luck against the University of Kentucky in close games, as we pointed out. There's Joe Hall. He's cool, calm, and collected. He's only been here a few hundred times before.
Yeah, he's seen all this before, and so have Kentucky players in the storied history of Wildcat basketball. 35 SEC titles, a record 29 NCAA appearances, 5 national championships. And they all come from the major league programs where they've seen the pressure games in the state championship tournaments. You don't get to Kentucky unless you're a great one.
Yeah, they don't recruit plow horses. They're real fond of thoroughbreds there.
And Auburn under Sonny Smith has come up with the blue chippers in this basketball program. A very formidable one after, for a long time, there were just 2 games at Auburn, football and spring football.
I'll tell you what, nobody's going to get hoarse talking to Sonny Smith right now. If he ever put his teeth in backwards, he'd chew himself to death. He's still out there jawboning. And boy, he doesn't need a tee now. That was a bad toss. And fortunately, the officials are going to pull it back.
Officials have worked a good game. It's been a tough one, lots of banging. Kentucky gets the ball to start the overtime. 43 off. And 4:50 to play.
Auburn coming out man. Tough man. As tough as they played it all day.
Person steals the ball, and here comes Chuck Person at 6'8", behind the net, moving on Roger Harden, but Walker shuts him off at the baseline.
was on a leave of absence in the second half. But if that first play in the overtime is any indication, he's back. A steal and some great ball handling for 6'8".
Person still with 10 points, just 2 in the second half. Morris has 10 points. Person strikes when they needed badly. The first shot of the overtime, it gives Auburn a 2-point lead, and he has
12. 1-3-1 now, Auburn. Morris at 6'7" at the top of the key. Has been very effective there, keeping the ball on one side of the floor, or at least forcing a high pass, giving the Auburn defense a little time to cover.
Walker turning and firing. He can't get his to go, but Barrett puts it up. He's rejected, but he is fouled. So Brett Barrett, the big senior center, who goes to the free throw line. The place has not been a happy spot for him over the course of this year. He's not shot well from the line.
Watch Barrett. Walker doing a very difficult thing. He turns and shoots at the same time instead of squaring those shoulders. Barrett hitting that offensive board. Gets it rejected, but he draws the foul. You know, the freshman center, Gunta Benka, who came over from Germany, probably would have been the starting center for Kentucky, which is one of the reasons that Barrett has been really forced in there and not being a great talent. But he stayed, did a cameo in Lexington, Kentucky, and went home.
Barrett hitting him when it really counts. Under the gun, he puts in 2 free throws, and again the game is tied, this time at 45. Richard Madison, who had that big second half, then went out with an apparent turned ankle, back on the floor. He scored 12 in the game, 10 in the second half. He went on a streak there midway through the second half, where just about everything he put in was a bank shot off glass and right down and through. Person shoots, Walker jumps, and there's going to be a tie-up. 2 major league leapers go up. They're going to rule it. It's going to be inbounds to Auburn. Looked like a jump ball, but it's going to be inbounds to Auburn. Nope.
It's Auburn's possession.
Auburn's turn, our possession, absolutely.
Boy, that's a super play that time by Chris Morris. The only knock on him has been that he wants to play the game in a tuxedo. But boy, he went right after the franchise on that one.
So the next possession will be to Kentucky. Right now we have a 45-45 game in overtime, 3:10 to play in it.
Kentucky doing a lot of changing defenses, matching up out of the 2-3. They've looked best in the man-for-man.
Chuck Person, a great move, hanging in midair and then arcing the shot down. 2 quick buckets in overtime by Chuck Person, and again Auburn has a 2-point lead.
Boy, his ability to go inside and out, just amazing. Has to be one of the fine forwards in the country.
He's been held well below his 22-plus per game average, as has Walker been held down for Kentucky. Walker has 13 points. They're looking for him. In quickly to Madison, kicks it out to Harden, and back to the freshman Richard Madison, who fires for the Wildcats. A great-looking shot, and the game is tied again, 47-all.
Good-looking crop of freshmen for Kentucky. Madison, a big lift off the bench.
And he wants it. With the pressure on, he wants the ball.
So did Davender.
Nope. Cuts the top of the backboard. Shot disallowed. No good. It comes over to Kentucky. Sonny Smith is going to protest that, but it was pretty apparent.
It's just... Look at the contrast. Sonny Smith trying to create a tradition at Auburn where there is none. He's some kind of bent out of shape. Let's see it now. It hits iron, goes straight up in the air. It appeared that it did hit the top. Who knows? That's what they pay those 3 guys in striped shirts all that money for.
And they got an up-close look at it. Now we're inside 2 minutes to go in overtime. Roger Harden out to Davender, freshman guard and a junior guard, 2 good ball handlers in backcourt for Kentucky, a team that's had problems with turnovers. Loop down low to Walker, it's tipped away. Ford taking it down against Harden, they throw the ball away. Out of control when they had a chance to take the lead.
Oh my, Kentucky at the other end after hitting some jump shots created by the pressure that Walker's putting on the inside defense, tried to force it in, got the turnover, and Sonny Smith he's just having a hard time staying off the court over there.
Madison once again, so soft once he gets up there, but he can't get it down this time. And Ford takes the rebound and is fouled by Richard Madison with 1:25 to play in overtime. There's another tie-up. The next possession will go to Kentucky. It could be a factor as this game is locked up at 47 all. 1:25 to go in overtime. Might not be the last overtime.
Well, both teams playing very conservatively. Auburn playing much more conservatively.
Frank Ford going to the free throw line. A sophomore guard from Kissimmee, Florida. Florida Player of the Year as a senior. Doesn't get the free throw, though, and it really hurts when the front end doesn't go down. So now Kentucky has the ball. 1:18 to play. We're in overtime here at Auburn, Alabama. The Kentucky Wildcats with the ball. 1:06 to play in OT, and here's a blocking foul against freshman Chris Morris of Auburn as he put another freshman, Ed Davender, on the floor. And Davender is in big league pressure now for this freshman from Brooklyn, New York. He goes to the line with the game tied in overtime.
Well, he's been playing with a lot of confidence all day. He tried to make a couple of passes and put up a couple of key shots at the end of regulation. At Kentucky, if you're a freshman, you better be precocious because you're going to be in pressure just about every time out. Morris, number 34, played really an outstanding.
Some stuff on his guys. He says, listen, I don't want good citizens. I don't want Nobel Peace Prize winners. Play some defense, bump somebody.
Well, he wasn't very funny to the coaches in the Southeast Conference last year. He took his team to second place regular season, to the finals of the tournament, and they voted him the Coach of the Year.
Ed Davender from Boys and Girls High School in Brooklyn, the man who outscored Pearl Washington by a large margin when they met head-to-head as high school players. Can't get the free throw down, and down with the ball comes Auburn. We're working with a 45-second shot clock in the Southeastern Conference. That's the game clock superimposed. Don Crickey with Bucky Waters. Overtime and down in the final minute of the first overtime. Maybe not the last. Both teams have been plagued by turnovers in the game. The defenses have been tight. Great athletes pressuring the ball. And now Coach Smith is bringing his guys over to talk this out.
What is an amazing mismatch there. Davender was covering Person when they came out of the 2-3 match. Oh, I can't believe they'll stay with that.
Well, we'll come back with 36 seconds to go in overtime after this.
I never dreamed I'd join the Army. But they gave me the opportunity of a lifetime.
121, 7 miles northwest, low fuel, heavy weather.
Army 121. Turn right, heading 150.
Army 121, roger, 150.
Every time I help one of our choppers land, it puts me on cloud 9.
Runway in sight. Thanks for your help.
Roger.
Find your future in the Army. Who says you can't have it all? Who says you can't be somebody and still be you? Who says you can't taste life's best and not look like you do? Michelob Light. Oh, yes, you can. Michelob Light. Oh, yes, you can.
Michelob Light. Super premium taste in a less filling beer.
Michelob Light. Oh, yes, you can. Have it all.
At Auburn, Alabama, Don Crickey with Bucky Waters. Many of you were watching earlier in the day Wake Forest blowing out North Carolina State. That score final 91-64. The Demon Deacons come home with a victory. Tisdale and the Sooners of Oklahoma beat an arch rival, the Cowboys of Oklahoma State, an 83-81 victory in the Big 8 for Oklahoma. Here at Auburn, now we have two arch rivals from the Southeastern Conference. Now in overtime, that is the game clock. 36 seconds to play, 17 seconds on the shot clock. And NBC Sports World and World Championship Boxing is next. But right now, we come down the stretch again, a second time. They ended time at the end of regulation now. All-American candidate Chuck Person banks a shot. He doesn't get it to go, and down with the rebound is the freshman Richard Madison for Kentucky.
Neither team in those situations wanted to take it down. Both of them put the ball up very quickly.
Kentucky can work now, Bucky, for a last shot. 20 seconds left on the game clock. Coach Hall quickly brings his team over for one last session. So again, final seconds, moments away.
I'm Mr. Goodwrench. Did you know it takes more power to stop your car than to make it go? This GM car can go from 0 to 50 in 11 seconds. But you may have to stop in less than 3. So brakes have to be powerful. And they need professional care. So have me check them regularly. And if they need replacing, I'll install new GM Goodwrench replacement brakes. You get them exclusively from a GM dealer who sells GM Goodwrench parts. Just stop in and keep that great GM feeling.
GM parts. I don't compete anymore, but I still pump iron. So after lifting a few hundred pounds, it's nice to lift one of these. Light beer from Miller. Light tastes great, and it's less filling with a third less calories than the regular beer. They know bodybuilding is hard work, but having a great body has its advantages. Sure makes it easy to pick up guys. Hi, Rodney.
Oh, hi there. What's going on here? Hey, honey, how about a lift home, huh? Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Welcome back to Auburn, where we have 20 seconds to play in overtime, and the game is tied. Coming up next on NBC Sports World. Ending games, the Illini go down to Houston to take on the Cougars, and then the longtime rivals, the intersectional rivalry of Notre Dame and UCLA is renewed at Pauley Pavilion. It all begins tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on NBC Sports College Basketball doubleheader. 20 seconds to play in overtime. 47-47, but Sonny Smith's team has a problem right now because he doesn't have the ball, and Kentucky does, and they can hold it for a last shot.
Kentucky was in this spot just a minute ago. Davender went to the free throw line and missed. I still think they got to try to find Walker, and I expect them to take it down to about 5 or 6 seconds this time. Last time they were very anxious to get it up. Auburn man for man.
Walker can't get it away. Good defense by Auburn. Kenny Walker, the great forward, puts it up, and he's rejected, but there's a foul call with 5 seconds to play. Walker goes to the line.
Pensive Sonny Smith. We're going to get a second look. Walker shaping up in town. Mano a mano. Person and Walker. The pass was right on the target. Walker lucky. He was heading toward the basket before he had the ball. And with an athlete as quick as Chuck Person, that might have been turned loose. But it's right there. The franchise. The main man is on the line.
Auburn's defense has held him down today, though. He's 10 points under his regular season average, Kenny Walker. If he does make the free throws or one of them to break the tie, Auburn will still have a shot at it because there's 5 seconds left.
There's a style in your life no one could ever deny. You're on your way to the top, and along the way you've always known just who you are. Where you're going, you've always known it. Where you're going, it's Michelob.
Where you're going, it's exceptionally smooth Michelob.
Where you're going, it's Michelob.
This is Mr. Goodwrench. Did you know that your GM car's engine uses more air than gasoline? For every sip of gas, it takes 15 gulps of air. That's why a clean air filter helps keep you from wasting power or damaging your engine. So let Mr. Goodwrench check your oil, fuel, and air filters. Chances are you'll save gas and money, too.
It's another of Mr. Goodwrench's good ways.
To keep that great GM feeling with genuine GM parts.
Kenny Walker, number 34, who has seen triangle and 2 and boxing 1 all day, finally gets one-on-one with Chuck Person. He eases toward the basket almost before catching it, draws a crowd of white jerseys. The reject from the other side, too little, too late. Walker will be on the line, and this is either a moment of destiny or another long afternoon for Joe Hall.
So 5 seconds left. Sonny Smith, who's made basketball a big-time sport at Auburn, where football's always been dominant, looks on. The man from Roan Mountain, Tennessee. And he's seen this number 34 kill him before. Walker hit a shot at the buzzer in the Southeastern Conference tournament title game to beat Auburn last March. Crowd's not going to help him. Kenny Walker breaks the tie with his 14th point of the game. It's 48-47 Kentucky.
Auburn has no timeouts left. So they're going to have to make their play off the inbounds with 5 seconds to go. They can't go to half court. They've got to go coast to coast. And
Walker, great one that he is, drops them both, and that's a good point. No timeouts, and here comes Gerald White on the fly, firing. He's short at the buzzer. It's over, is it? Now they're letting that shot go, and now they rule it's over. The clock had run out, but the horn was late. This is the Kentucky coaches are going wild at the scorer's table. The clock had run out, but the horn didn't sound for another 5 seconds.
Well, funny things happen on the road, but that was some kind of finish. As we pointed out, Sonny Smith has been snake-bitten in these close games. Let's watch. 1 second, hits the rim. We're now talking 0, and we're talking loose ball, and they're still playing. What we had was a retarded horn there. A very slow trigger switch.
Well, it was a great one. It always is, and yet another disappointment for Auburn against Kentucky. Wildcats winning 49-47. For Bucky Waters, this is Don Crickey. Championship Boxing is next.